Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. Today we're going to talk about one of the basic topics that is really helpful for beginner and, in this case, Arena's budget community. That, of course, being synergy. The way to get more play value out of your cards than the card itself would normally dictate. We're also going to spend some time talking about why you can't always depend upon synergy and why it's good to sometimes deviate from this concept. But before that, did you know that most YouTube viewers never subscribe to channels, even the ones they watch the most? So allow me to take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to the Planeswalker Stronghold for all of your new player experience, budget, and free-to-play needs. That way, you don't miss out on a thing. Now, without further ado, let's talk about synergy. It's the concept that certain cards are more effective when played with certain other cards. The cards can function perfectly fine on their own, but because of synergy, they work better together than they ever would on their own. In other words, the cards feed upon each other and create more outcome than would otherwise be expected. This is such a crucial concept for new players to grasp, and also any sort of budget or free-to-play environment, because you really want to maximize the value of every card in your collection and every card that you play. And synergy is by far the easiest pathway to doing that. It allows each card to give more impact to your win rate and your collection than it is really supposed to do. Now let's take a look at an example that we have talked about a lot so far this year. That is Conclave Mentor. As you can see, this card doubles its +1 counter, adds a +1 counter every time you would otherwise add a +1 counter. In many cases, effectively doubling the impact of the +1 counter. Cards like Sudden Strength and Invigorating Surge really feed into this environment and become much stronger in the presence of a Conclave Mentor. Something like Invigorating Surge, for instance, can really be game-breaking as an instant speed combat trick, forcing your opponent to make bad blocks and oftentimes winning the game as a result of an unblocked creature. Something that was never really intended in either of these cards. Now, on the opposite side of this very important coin, it's important not to overlook innately powerful cards just because they don't fit a synergy. For instance, our Procornus Unchained fits very nicely into this +1 counter synergy. On the other hand, our Gargoth does not. If you only had one slot available for either of these cards, the Unchained is clearly the better choice. But if you do have multiple slots, the overwhelming power of Gargoth should earn a slot in most decks if you have the space available for it. You really don't want to overlook an innately powerful card just because it may not fit a synergy. Now, because of this, you'll see a lot of different definitions about what makes a deck a synergy deck. And personally, I think any deck that half the cards or so don't feed in or benefit from the synergy, you're not really dealing with a synergy deck at that point. It doesn't necessarily make the deck bad, it's just not considered a synergistic deck. Personally, I shoot for 75% and up of the non-land cards when possible. But again, there are always going to be cards that, because of their innate power, should really be considered for inclusion, even if they don't fit your synergy. Now, with all that having been said, let me take this opportunity to invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. it is the best way from a budget perspective to support this channel. We want to get out there and reach as many of our new player, free-to-play, and budget players as possible. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.